behalf of the town of Silver City, I am calling this meeting to order. I'd like to invite you to join us in the Pledge of Allegiance, and following that, the salute to the flag of the state of New Mexico. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I salute the flag of the state of New Mexico, the Zia symbol of perfect friendship among united cultures. I'd like to invite everyone here tonight. We have a nice crowd. Glad you could make it. We also have all of our city administration here with us tonight. Our manager, Mr. Brown, assistant manager, James Marshall, our town attorney, Jim Reynolds, and our clerk is with us as well. We have the police chief, a number of other departments, the code enforcement, the fire department. Glad y'all could make it. I'd like to welcome the press, and again, all of you here tonight. Thank you for being here. Item number 2 is changes to the agenda. Are there any proposed changes to the agenda?
No, sir.
No changes. Item 3 is ceremonies, and there are none. Item 4 is proclamations, and there are none. Next is council comments, and going first tonight is Councilor Cano.
Thank you, Mayor. The other thing I wanted to do was say thank you to Councilors Ray and Bencomo for sponsoring the lowrider yesteryear, or whatever you want to call it, night that was in front of Q's on Saturday. It was a really great time. There were a lot of people, and hopefully that'll become a yearly event too, because I think it's something people really enjoyed. So thank you. I know you guys were out there at 6 o'clock in the morning the day before working on things, and it was appreciated by the people who went. So thank you.
Thank you.
That's all I have.
Councilor Ray.
Thank you, Mayor. First of all, I got in contact with the Gospel Mission, and I had a conversation with Randy Sagers, and I asked him about our Carnitas Música and Más Fiesta we're going to have in September, and I asked him if he could offer us 4 to 6 people that would help us out with our fiesta, and he said he could get me 4 guys, which I said thank you. So I want us to be more united, because I'm tired, and we're tired of all being segregated. But anyway, another thing is that I mentioned to the mayor the other day about having like he has the mayor meeting with the public on Mondays, and I asked him if it was possible that if we as the town councilors could do something for the youth instead of and the public also, but for the youth, to get them involved, to see what they would like for us to do, what things they would like to see planned for us to do for them, and also for them to do for us. And I think we should try it. Now, there was an article in the Daily Press about the transgender people. I don't think, and I'm just speaking as for myself, I'm not speaking as a town councilor, I'm just speaking for myself. I know it offends some people, and some people doesn't offend. It offends me because I don't think that's the right thing to do. Why do we have to show, or why do we have to read about how popular they are, or how great they are? How come we can't say something else about a business person, an elderly person, a veteran, workers, some people that will work, instead of having something like this? This is just my opinion, and I know I'm going to get some backlash on it, but this is just my opinion. Now, Councilor Bencomo and myself, we witnessed a homeless person at our fandango the other day, and he was yelling obscenities and kicking the garbage cans and throwing stuff on the road. We don't need this. If the homeless people are gonna be homeless, let them be more humane about it. And they're not. Okay, one other thing also. I give thanks to the Silver Power Sports, because we are in the process for tonight to make the final yea or nay for our tires on the UTVs. I mentioned this when we first started it, when it first passed, that all we needed was for it to pass and a business would come and open it. They opened up a business for the UTVs for the public, and it's been a very successful business, very successful. And not just one power sports entity, there are about 2 or 3 in Grant County. And I have gone to all of them, and they're all busy. And with that, God bless America, all those included. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you. Councilor Prince.
Good evening, and thank you, Mayor Ladner, fellow councilors, city staff present, and citizens. This evening, I'd first like to thank all of our community organizers and staff present for a heartening Independence Day. In my family, the Vietnam War tore us to shreds, but like every year, I was able to meet our fellow Americans, share in the hardship and victories we've lived, and come out together better for it. The contractor meeting for the pool committee, of which I give full kudos to the efforts of Councilor Cano for organizing the public meeting, which spurred its creation, went wonderfully. The enthusiasm and hope in our community's parents from that meeting was palpable, and I am grateful again for Councilor Cano's rightful insistence for its budgeting in our infrastructure capital improvement plan so that we may contribute relevant funding and planning for our community's needs. Relevant funding and planning for our community's needs. On December 21st, 2021, Grant County CoronavirusUpdate.org, a joint project of Grant County government, the town of Silver City, Healthy Kids, Healthy Communities of Grant County, the Gila Resource Information Project, the National Center for Frontier Communities, the Grant County Community Health Council, the Grant County Community Foundation, United Way of Southwest New Mexico, and the Con Alma Health Foundation post an article entitled, New Mexico Eviction Moratorium to End, Homelessness Spike Worrisome. Since last year, this body has been tagging our city's resources and staff so that we may address issues as complex as the lack of housing in our community. We've all seen how homes that were once less than $100,000 have doubled, if not tripled, in the last years. On the Silver City Realtors Association, presided over by Ms. Linda Rouse and Kim Clark, they proudly promote that the average home sale price was only $254,000 in March of 2022 and went up to $300,000 in March of 2023. From our city's own higher data scraping firm, 100 units of short-term Airbnbs have been identified, with only 17% compliance towards our lodger's tax. A look on rental units available in our paper, on social media, or via any of the real estate companies will be most met commonly with no HUD, Section 8 not accepted. On September 21st, 2021, the Daily Press printed the article entitled, Hot Housing Market Puts Squeeze on Renters, documenting issues that are now 21 months old. This council and this government has failed, despite numerous warnings and public outcry, to answer the question of what we do with those unfortunate to have been shaken off by the economy, priced out of the housing market, priced out of the rental market, and had services cut nonstop since Reagan. And tonight, now, we must only face the question of whether we are going to do the bare minimum, literally 0.25% of our annual revenue, to help bridge the financial gap for the only organization picking up the slack for our collective failure. In the faith I was raised in, it was instilled early and often. Then the king will say to those on his right, Come you who are blessed by my Father, take your inheritance, the kingdom prepared for you since the creation of this world. For I was hungry, and you gave me something to eat. I was thirsty, and you gave me something to drink. I was a stranger, and you invited me in. I needed clothes, and you clothed me. I was sick, and you looked after me. I was in prison, you came to visit me. Then the righteous will answer him, Lord, when did we see you hungry and feed you, or thirsty and gave you something to drink? When did we see you a stranger and invite you in, or needing clothes and clothe you? When did we see you sick or in prison and go to visit you? The king will reply, Truly I tell you, whatever you did for the least of our brothers and sisters, you did for me. I look forward to tonight's lively meeting to better understand those who've learned from these teaching and to identify those who are more Romans in this parable.
Thank you. Councilor Bencomo.
I don't have too much to say tonight, other than the 4th of July activities. The festivities were great. I think the mayor and I were, along with Councilor Cano, I believe Joe Ray was there, we noted that there seemed to be a larger crowd than normal, so it was really great. The music was fantastic. Talking about the event that we put on this past Saturday, I gotta tell you that I didn't realize just how instrumental and how much work that Joe Ray puts into it, and also his wife Olga, his daughter Sonia. And there was other people that have also helped, but I just think that the Rays ought to be recognized for their efforts that they put on and putting these type of activities. I was just a helper, a gopher, and I just did pretty much what Councilor Ray told me to do. And with that, that's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other council comments? Councilor Ray?
I forgot to say thank you, Chief, for being there for us. Chief Bencomo for being there. Francis, and the rest of the people that showed up for our fiesta, or for our Fandango. It was nice. Thank you.
Councilor Kano?
I know that we all get to make our own comments and our opinions are only our own, but I just want to say that I do not share Councilor Ray's feelings about the transgender community. As a person who has a transgender person in their family, I can tell you that I am an ally. I will always be an ally to LGBT community, so please do not think anyone in this community that this entire council feels the same way as he does. Thank you.
Thank you. Next on the agenda is approval of the minutes of June 27, 2023 regular meeting. Do I hear a motion? Councilor Bencomo.
I move to approve the minutes of the regular meeting on June 27th, 2023.
Do I hear a second? Councilor Ray?
I'll second that.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion or comments? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carries unanimously. Next is public input. And I'd just like to make a comment before we get started. Public input is a chance for the public to come to the council and tell us your opinion about things that are going on. One thing we can't do in public input is have a discussion with you and the council. If you need to speak to someone, then speak to the council on your own or talk to some city administrator, okay? So first on, and also we have a 5-minute limit. So first on the list is James Harris.
We came in at the very end and we weren't able to sign in for the public comments. Is it still, are we still able to sign in?
Yes, I'll allow that, but we'll have to get your name before you,
Okay,
and you'll be last.
thank you.
Okay, Mr. Harris.
Hello. As many of you know, my name is James Harris. Some of you know me, some of you are hoping I wouldn't speak again, but sorry, not sorry. But the reason I'm here today is because of something I found out about, and that is the current situation about, again, like a broken record, about the spin facility, but it's nothing about the homeless or anything like that. It's about the current amount of money they're asking for. Now, I'm speaking squarely on this matter and this matter alone. About 2 weeks or so ago, we had someone in our, that we know, who works and volunteers at the spin facility. And they told us that they were having trouble with keeping food in their pantries. And to me, that's awful. I do not want anyone, no matter who you are, homeless or otherwise, to go hungry. No one needs to go hungry. But then on that same day, they had a miracle happen and they got $120,000 in a donation. That's big. But now, 2 weeks later, they're asking now for $30,000 for what it seems to be paying for an audit, paying for a bunch of other things that we just read about. And I started asking the simple question of, why do they need this from the city when they have over $120,000 in donation already? And that's 2 weeks ago. Where is that money? Even with today's food prices, you can't spend $120,000 in 2 weeks like that, even with $50 a day per person. That's just illogically incorrect. That doesn't make any sense, mathematically speaking.
Would you pass
So-
for him to come up here?
The biggest question I have is, where is that money? Where is it now? We have had no transparency in where this money goes. We've had no transparency in what it's going to, and we don't know why now they're requesting this much when they have a good substantial amount to pay that $30,000 that they're requesting now from that $120,000. If they did receive $120,000 and they're still asking for $30,000 now, talking in a legal standpoint, that's a big oopsie. And at the same time, if this alleged $120,000 was just a fabricated rumor to tell to the volunteers and the workers, and they don't have it and they're requesting it from the city anyway, that's still a big oopsie in a lot of ways, because when you think about it, you're basically taking money away from the taxpayers while you already got donations. The residents there have SSI, they get a $90 a week allowance, so, and they get SNAP cards. So where is that $120,000? And why are they requesting it now? All I'm asking you, individuals here, is to ask that question: where is that money? Who has it? Where is it? Is it real? And if not, what the heck? Thank you, and everyone have a wonderful day.
Thank you. Next is Delfina Jimenez.
Good evening.
Ma'am, could you move the microphone? There you go.
Okay, good evening. My name is Delfina Jimenez, and I live at 2505 Mount View Road here in Silver City. My opinion, based apparently on Spin asking for money from the city, is not here. The city is not here to bail out any businesses. Is there a list of priorities where the money is needed in this town that is kept updated? I presume Spin is not on that list. It's a business and it should take care of itself. Apparently, it's not sustainable. That means someone or a group of people are mismanaging that business and asking for money from the city, which means the taxpayers are paying to run Spin. Taxpayers do not run private businesses. I don't believe the city has the money for this expenditure, and if they do have the money, it should go to priorities on your list. If there is one priority, or if there is not, I would like to see the money split that you're thinking of giving to Spin, given to the Silver City Police Department and half to the fire department. At least they provide services to our community that are needed. As far as I'm concerned, this is my personal opinion, Spin is a lost cause. We have seen the repercussions to our town. And how can council people and the mayor vote on handling money out without knowing what's on the priority list for our town if this is the case? By the way, since the door was opened by the Spin in the agenda or what I just read, I have empathy for the homeless. But what I have seen what Spin has done, and it has brought more crime into our town, and I have seen it firsthand. They paint a beautiful picture, but our community has been lived with a nightmare. Thank you.
Thank you. Next is Henry Guerrero, and
Can you hear me? Cool. My name is Henry Guerrero. I live at 502 North Gold. I don't know much about finances, figures, or anything else. I'm here because I'm tired of our neighborhood being on lockdown all the time. Sometimes I have a feeling that things are meant to happen that are coming toward me. I've already been assaulted several times. I've had people come at me. I've been attacked by thugs, if you want to call them that, or I don't know who's paying them off to do what they're doing to me. We've had dead squirrels thrown over my yard, trying to harm a dog. If he's an issue, deal with it. Other things, myself, I speak up. I call it like I see it. There's things going on that shouldn't be going on. It's not right what's going on. We're not blind. We weren't born yesterday. I was born and raised here in Silver City. We never had issues like this. Always been free. Windows open, doors open. I know things are changing, but they can be better. They don't have to go this way. We can all be at peace. My livelihood has changed. I worked my whole life to get the American dream, if you know what I'm saying. That's all we've been asking for, and I did it. And now I can't even be in peace because either somebody's attacking me, somebody's threatening me, somebody's saying something, they're breaking into houses, they're stealing items. I don't know what's going to end. But if it continues, they continue with me, there is going to be major situations, and I appreciate the police officers for going when they do and when I'm needed, and when the people in our neighborhood are needed. I appreciate it. Thank you very much. Councilman, Mayor, thank you very much. You have a good day.
Thank you. Next is Kevin Beverly.
My name is Kevin Beverly. I live at 915 North Grant Street. I live near the mess house at 1005 North Grant Street. It's I'm here because I believe Fire Chief, I believe he mentioned that you're discussing an ordinance that would help resolve the issues there. So I want to give you sort of my impression of what's happening, and I just want you to know that I come here representing some of my neighbors, J.D. Clifford, Letitia Black, Otto and Rita Cara,
Sir,
and Francis.
could you bring a microphone?
Yeah, Otto and Rita Cara and Francis Trotta. These are some of my neighbors who I spoke with today, and they asked me to come and speak for them. Otto's in D.C. and Francis is too traumatized to come here. Many of you probably don't know what we've been dealing with over there, but there is a meth house, there's a derelict property. It doesn't have sewage, it doesn't have power, it doesn't have water. They have been running a fire and gathering the tweakers around in the wee hours every morning. It goes through to dawn. Where they have their fire pit is 70 feet from one of my windows. And you can imagine it's on the ground. So with the wind from the north, as it usually is at night coming down to the canyons, it gets gritted and it comes right down Grant. It just beats against my house. The gentleman prior to me talked about open windows, your freedom, air. I don't have that. I have COPD. And I have to deal with this fine particulate invading my house. Everything I own smells like smoke. I have to deal with people pissing in my car. Someone peed through the windows in my car. Probably because they thought I was one of the people that called the fire department on them. They're retaliating. They are meth addicts. They meet with people like Kevin Fox at Swish Park, and they trade for meth, the things that he's stolen and his crew. My neighbor had Kevin Fox poke in her window, you know. But my wife has rheumatoid arthritis, and we can't stay where we are. I don't see how we can, you know, because of the smoke. And some of the other stuff, maybe I could put up with it. I mean, you know, we have some family connections to that place and the owner, but I think the time for, I mean, this has gone on for so long, and it's so horrible. And, you know, unless you live there and you experience it, tweakers just hiding in the bushes next to your house, hanging out. People in the park waiting for the meth to come in. All the stolen boxes, the things that they throw around the creek at Swish Park after they've traded. But mainly for me, it's the smoke. It's the fact that fine particulate is far worse than we realize, and I have to deal with it almost every day. They took a break, like a 3-day break, and it was heaven. But I really need something to happen, and I hope that you guys can pass an ordinance that can help us deal with this. I know that some people might be worried about the ordinance going too far, but at what point, does that really have weight, given the human cost? We see meth growing. This city needs to be able to take charge when it needs to take charge, because we all need to live here. We all need to breathe the same air. We all want to leave our windows open at night. We don't want to wake up to a house that's inundated with smoke, and we don't want to bear the health consequences of the stuff we have to deal with, whether it's cooking meth or just being around the stupid decisions they make, They need help, yeah. But it's just horrible.
Sir, your time is almost up.
Okay. Well, thank you.
Thank you. Next is Simon Satillo.
Mayor, members of the council, my name is Simon Sotelo III. I live at 912 Grant. I have lived in my home for 23 years. I knew the original owner of the building. I have seen over the years how that building has deteriorated, how the people who occupy it have changed. I live across the street from Kevin. I'm not experiencing any of the issues that he is directly. So I understand his concerns. I am in support of the ordinance. I think that it is something that we should do as a community. With that being said, I do have concerns that it may be eventually taken too far, but as a responsible homeowner, I also understand that that would not affect me. That also leads into the next point of they are homeless people and they do have issues, and they are still part of our community, and we do need to find a way to resolve a larger issue. It's not just about, oh, well, you're homeless, you should go away. It's not just about feeding people. It's not just about, making it better for those of us who do pay property taxes or own homes in that $250,000 range that, the Realtors Association has deemed. It's about actually figuring out how our community can largely solve the larger problems versus just on the smaller people. And by solving those larger problems, it's looking at what are we doing to establish more mental health support, more job advocacy, more sustainable living, cost of living prices in Silver City and in Grant County. So it is a larger problem than just saying this is a meth house and we need to get rid of it. Do I agree with that meth house being there? No. Do I agree with the ordinance? Yes. But I hope that in passing this ordinance, if you do so, you as a council, as a governing body of this community, recognize that you also have a larger problem. These are still human beings. Do I like them? No. Do I have an issue with what they're doing in this particular property? Yes. Am I a responsible property owner? Yes. I've lived in my community, in my home, as one of two people of color. So I recognize how the property value is affected. The other problem is that we cannot pass ordinance like this without having governance over it that prevents it from getting too far out of hand. That's my only concern. Do I think that the code enforcement officers are doing the best that they can? Yes. Do I think that the Silver City Police Department is doing the best that they can? Yes. Do I think that this ordinance would support their efforts? Absolutely. But I hope that if you do so, and we start cleaning up these places, we look at the larger problem. And that larger problem isn't just kicking homeless people out of our community. It's making our community sustainable for everyone.
Thank you. Next is Laura Shane.
Hello, and thanks for giving me this time. I'm a new business owner. I've only been here since May, so I'm not naive to the fact that I really don't know what's going on. But I opened on the 4th of July. And Sunday or Saturday, I had a gentleman come in, pleasant, you know. He said he was a vet, thanked him for his service. Your family's worth it, you know, whatever. So we talk. And he said he'd like some collars because I have a pet shop, a pet boutique. So he said he'd like some military collars, and we talked about that. And I said, I have a suggestion, you know, notepad right there. Please write, you know, suggestions and requests. So that was fine. And while he was there, there was an individual shirtless waving his shirt, basically saying, "You want to mess with me," but not those words. And so I'm like, can you stay in here for a second? You know, because I'm not sure what's going to happen. And then things leave and he leaves. And I get home that night because I don't have my phone with me like other people and look at it all the time. And my phone rings at 10 o'clock at night. And it's this guy. And I don't know how he got my number. You know, Facebook maybe? I don't know. So, and he has called twice that day, and I didn't see that. This time, I'd love to play the message, but I don't want to offend anybody with language. But he basically says, I'll say he calls me a bitch. He says, "I'm going to effing kill you, your dog, and everyone." That was my 4th day open. So, and that raises the fact of mental health. So I think, you know, I know that the police department does not have the money that they need to do the job, you know, as best as they can. Well, that's what they're doing now. But, you know, they need, especially the mental health. Because this guy was drunk, high, whatever, you know, but he's a vet and he needs mental health issues. I think I was nice to him. And maybe he saw that as, oh, she'll help me, you know, because he says, I'm a vet, I'm suicidal, and I'm going to kill you and everybody else, right? So this guy obviously doesn't give a what happens. So here I am, okay, what do I do now? You know, I've got bear spray, I'm ready for that, but, you know, I mean, how can I can learn some moves, you know, and hope for the best, but... So that all leads to mental health. We went to the police, or I called the police department, and they took my report. Went on Monday morning, tried to talk to them, didn't get anywhere with that, and then we immediately went to the VA because he is a vet, and we don't know what they can do, if they can help, you know, because obviously he needs something. And, you know, the police can only do so much. They're not mental health, you know, professionals. They can't go, but obviously this guy needs some help. But that raises also my safety. You know, I've seen officers walk the streets once when I was setting up my shop about 2-3 weeks ago, you know, and I went to go meet them. But, you know, it's just today, looking out, there was another man walking down the other side of the road. In every store, he pointed his, you know, little finger gun, and then 2 young kids walked right by him, and he turned around and he started shooting at them with his finger, you know. So it's just like, well, shit, I just moved here, you know, and I love Silver City. I love it, you know. But that raises the question, oh my God, you know, what you know, is going to happen.
Ma'am, your time is almost up.
Okay, well, I just want, there needs to be more downtown. I mean, and there are all these homeless, and they need the mental help, not only, you know, the food and the shelter and stuff like that. So I really think we need mental health unit, you know, to help all these people. And, you know, I need some more patrol because I'm kind of scared now. So anyway, thank you for letting me speak.
Thank you. Mark Richard?
Good evening. You know, with ownership comes responsibility. And if you have property, there's responsibility, whether it's paying taxes or keeping your yard clean, or with regard to the ordinance that you guys are going to be talking about, you need to have sanitation. Obviously, if you got people living in a building without sanitation, that's a bigger issue. If you don't have water, that's another sanitation issue. If you don't have power, it could be a safety issue. So to me, the ordinance is one step in trying to address some of the concerns of what these folks before me have been talking about. So I fully support it. I think the ordinance could probably be tweaked a little bit because I don't know how it's going to be enforced and how things are going to evolve. Basically, once you define a building as inhabitable, where do you go from there? And then what kind of notification do you give the owners? And what kind of process is involved so you can either notify the owner and give him time to rectify the situation, or he's, once again, irresponsible, and then the city comes off as the bad guy and tries to resolve the issue. So, but anyway, I really think that the ordinance is a step in the right direction. Thank you.
Thank you. Next is Van Claudia.
I'm Van Clothier, here to speak about the nuisance property on Grant Street. There are two trailers with broken windows that aren't fit for human habitation. There's no water hookup, no sewer hookup, no trash collection. People are pooping in the alley, pooping in plastic bags, putting it in the neighbor's house, going across the street to drink at my friend Francis's hose. I'm here on behalf of my friend Francis Trotta. I also know Otto and Simon, and I've been visiting my friends on Grant Street for 20 years. So you have an ordinance before you. I hope you pass the ordinance, and then the very day it takes effect, fix the problem on Grant Street, Mayor. Just fix the problem. The police are over there all the time. You probably know everybody on a first name basis. The fire department has put out multiple fires. There's just a rash of incidents radiating out from this property, and it's been going on for a long time. Okay? There's got to be something you can do today without the ordinance, using discernment and using the authority that's already vested in you. If you really need another ordinance to deal with this property, I mean, my gosh, it's amazingly horrible. And it's been like that for a very long time, and you've received lots of complaints from several people for a very long time. So please, just fix the problem, please. Thank you.
Thank you. John Edgar?
I just have a quick question first about protocol. Is this the only time for public input, or are individual agenda items allowed public input?
Well, if you want to discuss an issue, you can contact any council member.
No, I meant, is public comment open later in the agenda?
No,
for
this is
individual?
it,
This
yeah.
is it?
Yes,
Okay.
sir.
I'll change pushes in midstream here.
Yes, it's on the agenda as an item.
Okay, thank you. I'm here to speak tonight about the request from Spin. You know, I guess my first question would be, you know, if not Spin, then what? You know, I understand that, and I really recognize and have sympathy for the plight of the neighbors of the current location of the shelter. And maybe that's not the ideal location. You know, they're being asked to shoulder basically the burden for all the rest of us here in Silver City, and it's unfair to them. So I understand that. You know, but like I said initially, if not Spin, then what? Do we really have a better answer right now? I don't think we do, based on what I've seen. You know, poverty, substance abuse, mental illness, lack of housing, they're all interrelated. It's a constant battle. Everybody fights it every day on many, many levels. It never seems to go away, no matter how much we give to it. It's never enough. You know, these are the times we live in. And it's sad. It's unfortunate. I think that Silver City is fortunate to have this organization and the people behind it that are willing to do this basically unglamorous, unthankful work. You know, nobody ever got rich or famous doing the work that these people do. And I think there are issues, and there are questions about financial irregularities, which an audit would divulge. But I really think we have some debt of gratitude because no one else is stepping up to do this work. You know, it's really hard to change the lives of people who have gone to some of the places that their clients that they deal with have gone to. You know, I was mentally ill once. I had a psychotic break in college. I required inpatient hospitalization, and I was lucky. I had a supportive family. I had access to good doctors and mental health professionals. You know, had it not been for them, I might be one of Spin's clients tonight. Where would I be sleeping? What would I eat? How would I get clean? You know, what about the rest of us in this room or our family members? You know, all it takes is one crash in life, and you're on the streets perhaps. You know, treatment and housing has proven to be much more financially advantageous than incarceration and law enforcement answers to this problem. You know, I've known police officers that spent hours trying to find a place to put a sick, mentally ill, homeless person in on a rainy, cold night. Spent hours trying to find a place to put them without any success. You know, I have a crazy guy, I live downtown, I have a crazy guy screaming in my neighborhoods most nights. At the top of his lungs, endless profanities. I find people sleeping in my doorway. Am I mad at them? No. You know, if it were not for other circumstances, that could be me. I think it's a good deal for the city and in your best interest financially to support this. I think you have adequate reserves to fund it, it appears. And like I say, it's not ideal, and maybe there isn't an ideal answer, but right now it's the best we have to try to help everybody in this situation. And I just encourage you to vote yes. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Marcia Lopez.
My name is Marcia Lopez, and first of all, as far as seeing that city ordinances are implemented, I have to thank Mayor Ladner. I invited him over to my area where a house was full of trash, and he walked through it, and it's taken care of. The place is clean now, and I was really impressed with that work. I'm here because you call it Spin. I don't know what it was. because of the homeless shelter. I'm the fifth generation on my property. My grandsons are the seventh. And I see other people here that are generations on that area, which is up in the Brewery Hill area. First of all, I understand by one of the persons that I saw today that supposedly there was a notice for our community to accept this shelter. I never received a letter. There was never anything certified. I know the person who owns the property. I talked to her about it. She moved into our community. She was not from our community, and she had the money. She purchased it, and she put the shelter there. She couldn't stand what she was dealing in that area with the traffic of people, the drug addicts. So what did she do? She moves out of our area, goes out of the city limits. I see her post in the Facebook what a beautiful, pleasant time she's having in her community. I too agree that the homeless people are a problem, and I'm sorry if they are having this issue. But a lot of them have gotten involved because of drugs. They chose that life. I didn't choose for that shelter to be there, and I know a lot of people of my community did not choose that. I'm having to deal with people that come on my property and defecate on it. And they are the homeless shelter people. They insinuate that that's their property. So I have to go against them. I have to call the police, and the police do an excellent job. They are limited. They can only do so much. They arrest people. People are let go. And the biggest problem that we have here with the homeless people is that it's a mental issue. You're correct. It's a drug issue. And this is probably the wrong meeting to bring this up. It should probably be the county commissioners where I should be bringing this up. The hospital no longer has mental health. We cannot treat these people. These people have nowhere to go to and to be treated with the right medications and perhaps given the chance to apply for the many places that need to hire people. People aren't working. They can't find employment. So instead of continuing to add to this homeless shelter, I would love that homeless shelter to be removed, and perhaps there are people in my community that would like to help join me, and perhaps maybe a class action suit on the property owner. Maybe she'll think twice. Maybe she'll remove that shelter and take it to the beautiful, blissful place that she moved to, away from that. And anybody else want to welcome the homeless shelter into their living area, that's fine. I have another piece of property that they would constantly go and break into. I'm tired of it. Fifth generation there. The last time that I was in a city council meeting was in 1980, and it was for paving project 11, when the property owners, the poor people of that area that had property for generation, and a paving was imposed on them, and they needed to pay these. These are people that had $60,000 on paving taxes that no other place in the history of Silver City that the individual property owners are responsible. So a lot of people lost this. So again, this community is attacked because somebody wants to impose something, and then it's just unfair that they chose my community, the poorest place and the cheapest place for this person to buy that building. And so I'm here, Marcia Lopez. Anybody want to approach me, and maybe we can get an attorney and do something and maybe address the owner of the property. You know, there's not much that the city can do to stop that, I guess. I don't know what ordinance appeared to put that homeless shelter there and have the rest of us who live there that have to deal with these drug people that are deranged. And we have to deal with our properties being broken into and defecated on. So I'll stand around here longer if anybody would like to join me, and maybe we can make our own community. And again, Mr. Ladner, thank you for taking care of the issue that I had. You did an excellent job. Thank you.
Thank you. Last on the list is Ashley Castillo.
Hello, good afternoon, Mayor and council members. My name is Ashley Castillo. I'm 31 years old, born and raised here in Silver City. I moved away for about 7 years to attend Doñana Community College to pursue an education and career and radiologic technology. My husband is also a native here, and we have one daughter who is 3 years old. My family and I have been back in Silver City for almost 5 years now. We were so excited to be moving home, eager to start a family and to bring back something to the community that we grew up in. I graduated from Silver High School in 2010. As a teen growing up, we all knew there wasn't a whole lot to do here. We always tried to make the best of things and regularly attended the movies and Cosmic Bowling. I can remember when there were 3 movie theaters here, and I remember the Gila Theater being one of my favorites. I was truly saddened and am still in disbelief that we couldn't keep it open. It was such a staple of downtown. I was glad to see the Silco open up, but now we are down to 1 movie theater with 1 screen, and Cosmic Bowling isn't even around anymore. Things little by little have started closing for one reason or another. I thought to myself, I'm sure something else will be coming, maybe even something better. Then I would see another business coming in without the youth in mind. Little by little, things to do as a family had almost become non-existent in our community. My parents were also born and raised here. My grandfather owned the Buffalo Bar several years ago. I hear my dad talk about how much support downtown gave to the high school, including my grandfather's business. Everyone's windows would be decked out with Fighting Colt decor and even closing early to go to games. That's something I know I would have liked to have witnessed being a student athlete growing up. I also hear of how many stores there were to go shop, as well as different places to go for entertainment or dining. For example, JCPenney's, Nina's Guys and Gals, Pennington's, Anthony's, Maxwell House, A&W, 2 drive-in movie theaters, a skating rink, Baskin-Robbins, to name a few. I myself also remember Tasty Freeze, Long John Silver's, Burger King, Taco Bell, Route 21, Maurice's, Bell's, Golden Corral, KFC, and the shoe department. Now the only place we can go shop is Walmart or American Blues. Walmart being the only one for shoes and men's apparel. It's such a shame that we have to make a trip out of town for most of our apparel needs. I know that some of these businesses have closed due to various circumstances beyond our control, but I also feel that nothing has been done to replace them. I attended the aquatic meeting a couple of weeks ago because I'm so excited for something to be happening here for our town. There were various people who voiced a concern for senior citizens when talking about the new facility. But when was the last time we did something for our kids or families in general, other than the building of Penny Park? The seniors are able to go swim at WNMU, my dad included, who is a regular visitor to the pool, but kids are not permitted entry. We also have the senior center, brand new housing, and various activities that are specifically just for seniors. I truly feel like all these amenities are vital for our senior citizens, but I feel like it's time to have a facility that is focused on youth and families. Most of us go to Deming where things are more family-oriented and where things are growing. I would love to keep my money here locally, but that's hard to do when options are limited. I hope that building this aquatic facility is only the start of many other things to come for families here in Silver City. I am saddened by what has happened to our town. I feel as though we are going backwards, regressing. We have overlooked the youth, and believe me, they feel it too. I also feel we often forget we have 8 schools in our Silver Consolidated District alone, not including our surrounding areas. Our town used to be so lively, fun, and family-friendly. I wish I grew up in the time when my parents did, and seems like a completely different atmosphere. I am hoping that we can bring that back. I know I'm not the only one who feels this way, and I'm here to be a voice for all the families and youth who feel like we have been disregarded.
Ma'am, your time is almost over.
So many of us have moved away for better opportunities, but let's keep things here. Let's start building a place where our kids feel welcome, where they can thrive, and where they can be proud. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Next on the agenda is item 8, reports. First on reports will be our clerk, Alfred Cedillo.
Mayor, Council, I just wanted to give an update on the green recycling bins. They will be picked up on the last week of July. So starting on the 24th through the 28th, anybody will put their bins out there alongside their blue bins. If there's garbage, they will be picked up, it'll be emptied, and then it'll be removed. So just a reminder, I have been getting calls, it's been in the paper, it's been on the radio, and I have been getting calls. So hopefully by the end of the month, they will all be collected. Thank you.
Thank you. Any questions for Mr. Cedillo? Thank you. Mr. Brown, do you have anything?
None at this time.
Do any of the council members have any questions for Mr. Brown relative to town projects? There being none, thank you, Mr. Brown. Next is item 9, public hearings, and there are none. Next is 10, work session agenda, approval/disapproval of work session topics. Council? Councilor Kano.
Mr. Mayor, at our next work session, I would like to include a review by Mr. Brown of the ICIP and the ICIP process. There was some misinformation put into the newspaper recently, and I think it did some damage, so I would like to see us go over that again so that all the councilors are on the same page.
Okay. Mr. Cedillo? Okay. Anything else? Councilor Prince?
I would just like to add that it's very helpful for us to be able to go through the items on the agenda. We get enough time, I feel like, during our meetings, but especially when we have had a bit of overturning going on inside of our council here, we could just add reviewing the meeting's agenda, just in case there's any questions or concerns, and we can handle those then during the public hearing time, or our work session time versus the public meeting.
Okay. Anything else? Do I have a motion? Councilor Kano?
Mr. Mayor, I move to approve the following items for the next work session agenda. I'm going to add D, ICIP review by Mr. Brown, and E, agenda review.
Thank you. Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Councilor Bencomo, thank you. Any discussion or comments? All in favor, say aye.
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 Opposed, nay. Motion carries unanimous. Next is 11, unfinished business, and there is none. Next is 12, new business. First under new business is 12A, the approval/disapproval of financial support for SPIN. Ms. Castillo?
Mayor, council members, Ms. Salcedo did a wonderful job presenting at the last council meeting, and I know that there was some follow-up questions that we didn't get to. SPIN is requesting assistance, financial assistance from the city, and I know that everybody's read the letter and probably the newspaper article today. And so I would just like to be open for questions.
Thank you. Are there any questions or comments from the council? Councilor Connell, then Councilor Prince.
So the letter you gave us was not specific, like, to a fault. Like, we didn't get itemized budget. We didn't get what the money we would be giving to you would go for. So I personally would like to see something like that before we make a decision. That's how we do things when Mr. Brown wants us to do any kind of a budgetary thing. He always gives us a full budget and we know where everything is going. I think that's really important. The other thing I have to say, and I guess I'm actually going to ask Mr. Reynolds, I believe, will be the one to answer this. So I'm not looking at this by who asked for the money, okay? That's not where I'm coming from. Where I'm coming from is this is a nonprofit organization that is asking for money from the town. If we give this nonprofit organization money, does that mean that all 60 nonprofit organizations in town can then come and ask us for the same money and we've set a precedent and now we're gonna have to give it to them?
Well, no, because you would approve this on a case-by-case basis. Also, there would have to be some kind of agreement drawn up, a professional service agreement to avoid anti-donation clause of the New Mexico Constitution. So we would specify what the money would be used for and a professional service agreement, specifically what it would go for. There would have to be an accounting to be able to check this out, that type of thing.
Okay. The next question I have is, so $10,000 for an audit seems high. Mr. Brown, can you tell me about how much we pay for ours?
Last year for ours, we paid $37,000.
Okay.
And that was for a $54 million budget.
Okay. My other question is, are you, as a nonprofit right now, in good standing with the Secretary of State, which is part of, the audit process and all of that, or is this something that needs to be dealt with them before you can even give them money? Because we, as a town, I know we can't give money to someone unless it's either, an entity has to be a nonprofit that's in good standing. I know that because other people have asked for money and have not been able to get money and have had to use an umbrella organization. So are you in good standing with the
We
Secretary of
are
State?
in good standing with the Secretary
Okay,
of
so
State.
you've done all of your audits with her then? So
We
everything is
are,
done.
we've gotten an extension on our audit, and we're in the audit process, and we have a local auditor that is deeply in the process of auditing what she needs to. 2022 was the first year that we had enough income to require an audit, so we are in that process.
Okay, so another thing is, I am really wanting to know if we can get some financial statements so that, we're aware of where's this money going? I mean, exactly to the penny, because when Mr. Brown asks for money for something, it's to the penny, and so I want to see exactly where it's going before, not we give you money and you just do it.
Sure.
So that needs to be done before I would be willing to vote for anything.
Councilor Prince?
I know that the numbers fluctuate on a near daily basis then, but nightly, about how many folks are utilizing the beds that you have in your facility? Last numbers that we saw on that was 66 beds with a capacity of 111 people in the shelter.
We have our fire marshal has told us we can't have any more than 66 people in our building. We are currently housing 32 last night, and it's not even winter.
Correct. And then the funding that we're looking at right now, based on the reporting that I saw in the paper today, is that we're looking for about 3 months of bridge funding going on there with an additional $10,000 to be able to help to afford Mr. William Knutson, is that we pronounce it, Knutson?
Yes, actually, it's one of his former associates that's conducting our audit.
Right, and that's our CPA office downtown, former Mayor Mike Moronis, his business partner, if I'm not mistaken. So we'd be hiring some folks then that we already have in our community.
Certainly.
Wonderful. Thank you.
Councilor Bencomo?
Okay, I have a few questions also, and I may be repeating some of the questions that Councilor Cano asked. And this is to you, Alex. Have we provided financial aid to spend before?
No, not that I could find, we haven't. We did provide funding to the schools for an extra security guard last year as a result of the women's shelter.
So you're telling me that the town of Silver City had to pay the school out of our budget to have a security guard at Sixth Street School?
Yes.
Because of the
Because of the outcry and the issues of the families in the schools, their security.
How much was that amount?
It was $50,000.
$50,000. Does that include benefits also?
Yes, it did. It was a total of $50,000.
Thank you. Let me see, I've got a number of questions here. And maybe this should be directed to the Chief Lambert. Chief, have you done, or your people done fire inspections of the buildings, all 3 buildings?
We have.
Properties?
We are currently in the works of getting SPIN up to complete code compliance. This last power surge that came out did some major damage to their fire alarm system. They're currently on a fire watch. The facility by 6th Street we reviewed, but we have no jurisdiction over an R3 residential occupancy. We did go by, however, and offer advice on safety measures and occupancy load on the 6th Street facility. So yes, sir, we have done inspections and are currently working to make it code compliant.
Okay, so what is the occupancy rate for the Spin Building on Gold Street in that?
I've spent today reviewing the engineer's plan set. They classified the occupancy as an R3 dormitory, which is a gross square footage, there's 3,000 square feet total in the building. It requires a gross square footage of so many square feet dependent upon that occupancy rating. I believe that the Spin Building listed as a dormitory, if it was accepted by building code, CID out of Santa Fe, can hold a maximum of 40 individuals in the building. That's the conclusion we came to today. I saw some outside technical help through the state, and that's about the best we could do with that square footage.
So I'm not sure if I heard you correctly. Their occupancy rate is 40 people?
Yes, sir.
And this is just Christine Wolford. Did I just hear, or did I mishear? Did you say that you have 60 people?
We're gonna need a new certificate that says 40 because our current one says 66.
I'll be back.
Thank you.
This question is directed to you, Ms. Christine. Did I hear you correctly? Did you say that you have 60 people at that location?
No, I said our current certificate, fire certificate says 66 people. So if that's 40, we need a new certificate.
So I have a question, this question. How have you been operating for the past couple of years financially? Where have you been getting your money to operate?
So typically Spin is sustained a lot through Medicaid fee-for-service billing. So for example, we have a lot of certified peers and community support workers and some licensed social workers, and we provide services and we bill through Medicaid for that. Spin has really grown since COVID. It was never my intention to be so big, and so we've done some things recently to make ourselves more sustainable, like turning our facility into a behavioral health agency so that the things that we're doing are reimbursable at different rates. We also do a number of fundraising, grant writing, and have tons of community financial support. Not tons of, but we have enough community financial support that we know that we have a decently supportive community as they can be.
Okay, so why are you asking for additional monies now?
So when we got credentialed by the state as a behavioral health agency, we had to enter into new contract negotiations with each additional MCO, meaning Presbyterian, Blue Cross, and Western Skies, the Medicaid providers. And so during that process, they've put a hold on our billing basically until our new contracts are set, which could take up to 90 days. So at the beginning of that process, and we're about 40 days into that process, at the beginning of that process is when we asked for help from our city and our community.
How many board members do you have?
5.
You have 5. And do you have qualified case managers that provide help to your clients?
Certainly.
Are they certified?
Certainly.
So if I walked into your building, could I ask to see that, the certifications and licenses?
Certainly.
Okay. That's it.
Any other comment, Councilor Ray?
I don't know if it's feasible to ask you, but how many times has the police department and the fire department and other entities gone there to look at some of the situations there, whether it be drug overdoses or fights or maybe rape cases?
You're right, it wouldn't be feasible to ask me.
But it has happened.
Well, certainly.
Okay. Thank you.
Any other questions, Councilor Prince?
We want to check with city management and Chief Portillo on this. With the new security officer that we were, in my opinion, strong-armed into providing for the school for fears that I have not heard any news on them for. Have we had any security incidents with any of the operations across from the school or due to that facility?
No.
Just wanted to check on that. Thank you.
Chief,
Councilor Bencomo?
I know this is
last one.
an off question, but can you give me a general idea how many times your people respond to spin for whatever reasons on a weekly basis?
I could say we could respond there daily. We're there quite a bit. And also the general area around Spin.
Chief Lambert? Can you give me a general idea how many times the fire department is requested up there for?
With our current fire alarm situation, we've been going about every 4 days. For emergency medical services, once or twice a week.
And what are those calls generally for? What type of medical calls?
It runs a whole gambit of medical deficiencies. You name it. Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Any other questions, comments? Do I hear a motion? Councilor Prince?
I move to approve financial support for Spin.
Do I hear a second? Do I hear a second? Motion fails for lack of a second. Next is item 12B, new business. The approval/disapproval of ordinance number 1319, an ordinance amending chapter 50, traffic and vehicle, sections 50-53 to the Uniform Traffic Ordinance, specifically section 12-7-9, recreational off-road vehicles, ROVs, definitions of the New Mexico Uniform Traffic Code adopted as the Silver City Traffic Ordinance in section 50-1 of chapter 50 of the Municipal Code of the Town of Silver City, New Mexico. Councilor Ray, this is your item.
Yes, sir. I'm asking to see again, if it'd be all right with the council, excuse me, to change the language on one of our definitions here. And the language is to change Chapter 50, Traffic and Vehicles, Section 50-3, amendments to Uniform Traffic Ordinance, UTO Section 12-7-9, recreational off-road vehicles, ROVs, definitions. Recreational off-highway motor vehicle, ROV, is amended by replacing 4 or more U.S. DOT highway rated tires with 4 or more non-highway tires, to now read as follows. I'm going to read the whole thing. Okay. 12-7-9, recreational off-road vehicles, ROVs, definition. Recreational off-highway motor vehicle, ROV, for the purpose of this ordinance, means a motor vehicle designed by the manufacturer for operation primarily off the highway, streets, and roads, which is characterized by the following. Number 1, 4 or more non-highway tires. Number 2, a steering wheel for steering control. Number 3, non-straddle seating. Number 4, maximum speed capability is greater than 35 miles per hour. Number 5, gross vehicle weight rating no greater than 1,750 pounds. Number 6, less than 80 inches in overall width, exclusive of accessories. Number 7, engine displacement of less than 1,000 cubic centimeters. Number 8, a muffler. Number 9, identification by means of a 17-character vehicle identification number. Number 10, driver and passenger side rear viewing mirrors. Number 11, brakes. Number 12, seat belts for driver and all passengers. Number 13, signal horn and directional signals. And I believe we can use, I'll ask the chief on this, Portillo, we can use hands for signals or?
I don't remember the state law, if it's, we can use hand signals or not. I think you have to use the safety equipment, but I could be wrong.
Okay, thank you. Number 14, at least one headlight of a sufficient handle power to illuminate objects at 150 feet. And number 15, at least one tail light and one brake light to exhibit red or amber light at a distance of 200 feet under normal atmospheric conditions. And that is what I have here, so we can.
Are there any questions for Councilor Ray? Councilor Prince?
Without USDOT regulations on the tires, presumably the manufacturers then are going to be the only ones regulating what the tires build quality and what the standards are?
I don't understand you. Say it again.
The Federal Department of Transportation standards that have manufacturing requirements for tires, that will be removed underneath this change?
Yes, because nowhere in the state of New Mexico does it say that you have to have DOT braided tires. It can come with just a regular tires that are on it right there.
No worries on that one. I just have a concern with regards to who's setting the safety standards for these tires.
No.
It's just the manufacturers.
It's just the manufacturer.
I have not seen manufacturers be able to self-regulate effectively. And I
That I couldn't answer because I'm not a seller. I don't know in the tires.
Okay. Thank you.
Councilor Brown, did you? Any other questions for Councilor Ray? Okay, do I hear a motion? Councilor Ray?
Thank you, Mayor. I move to approve of ordinance number 1319 and ordinance amending Chapter 50, Traffic and Vehicles, Section 50-53, amendments to the Uniform Traffic Ordinance, specifically Section 12-7-9, recreational off-road vehicle, ROVs, definitions of the New Mexico Uniform Traffic Code adopted as the Silver City Traffic Ordinance in Section 50-1 of Chapter 50, New Mexico Code of the Town of Silver City, New Mexico.
Thank you. Do I hear a second? Councilor Bencomo? Any discussion or comments? Roll call, please, Mr. Cedillo.
Councilor Kano?
Aye.
Councilor Prince?
Nay.
Councilor Ray?
Aye.
Councilor Bingo?
Aye.
Motion carries on a vote of 3-1. Next is item 12C, the approval/disapproval of ordinance number 1320, amending paragraph A, 4 of section 32-2, paragraph A, 4 of section 32-2, illustrative enumeration of nuisances, Article 1, in General Chapter 32, nuisances of the Municipal Code of the Town of Silver City, New Mexico. Mr. Reynolds?
Yes, thank you, Mayor, Council. This ordinance changes the definition of a nuisance structure to include a structure that lacks adequate water or sewer. That's the major change. And this has been requested by code enforcement, this change, to address a situation that they're encountering. And that is, you have these properties where the original owner dies. They're either in probate or they go to out-of-state owners, and they just don't care about the property. They're just sitting there, and either by negligence or agreement, they allow people to come in and stay there and live there, and there's no adequate water or sewer, and things get pretty bad pretty quick. The code enforcement, if you want to hear horror stories, they have the horror stories for you. So this strengthens this definition of a nuisance structure to include that lack of adequate water or sewer.
Any questions for Mr. Reynolds? Councilor Collins?
Mr. Mayor, actually, I have a comment. This is actually to all the residents in the Grant Street area. If we pass this ordinance tonight, I just want you to be aware that the process for deciding that something is a nuisance and dealing with that situation is extremely long. So even if we pass it and it goes into effect tomorrow, there's nothing that can be done tomorrow. I know that sounds really frustrating, but if you ask the people on Mountain View Road who have been dealing with the same property for, 3 years now? It takes a while because there's a legal process that has to be followed and there's steps that the codes department will have to go through. So I just want you to be aware of that, not to expect that they're going to be able to solve your problem tomorrow if we pass this tonight. Thank you.
Any other questions or comments? Councilor Prince?
Without having to legislate that we are going to be installing sewer lines, or that every home or every structure that we have has to have sewer lines. If we have public facilities, but they utilize things such as pit toilets, like what we typically find out on the U.S. Forest Service land, this isn't going to bind us in any way for sanitation structures then that are also then commonly understood as being sanitary.
Yeah, the structures that exist today in the town of Silver City, they're required to have sewer and water. If they're within 300 feet of a sewer or water line, they're required to have it, and these structures that we're talking about are required to have it.
Well, but we have certain structures that have pit toilets that are commonly used, like U.S. Forest Service. Would those then need to be then upgraded?
This is a dwelling.
A dwelling, so it'll just be for residential habitation at that point. Just want to make sure we've got good clarity on that. Thank you.
Any other comments, questions? Do I hear a motion? Councilor Kano?
Mr. Mayor, I move to approve of ordinance number 1320, an ordinance amending paragraph A4 of section 32-2, an illustrative numeration of nuisances, Article 1 in general, Chapter 32, nuisances of the municipal code of the town of Silver City, New Mexico.
Thank you. Is there a second? Councilor Prince?
I'll second the motion as stated.
Have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Roll call, please, Mr. Sedano.
Councilor Khan.
Aye.
Councilor Prince.
Aye.
Councilor Ray.
Aye.
Councilor Bingo.
Motion carries unanimously. Next is new business, agenda item 12D, the approval/disapproval, ordinance number 1321, an ordinance amending paragraph 1 of section 6-190, adequate care requirements and specifications, Article 5, miscellaneous prohibitions, Chapter 6, animals of the municipal code of the town of Silver City, New Mexico. Mr. Reynolds?
Yes, thank you, Mayor and Council. This is another change in an ordinance requested by code enforcement. It deals with a situation where they find an animal is kept in an area and has adequate food and water. It even may have adequate shelter, but that shelter heats up during especially summer days, 95 degrees, 100-degree temperature, and the animal is suffering. So they want to be able to make sure that the animal has adequate shade in addition to adequate shelter. That's the change here.
Thank you. Any questions or comments from the council? Do I hear a motion?
I have a comment.
Councilor Ray?
I have a comment. Thank you, Vicky and Tomas, for bringing this up, because I think it needs to be done, especially for your animals. They're part of the family, so thank you for bringing this up.
Councilor Ray, you making a motion now?
I'll make a motion. I move to approve of ordinance number 1321, an ordinance amending paragraph 1 of section 6190, adequate care requirements and specifications, Article 5, miscellaneous prohibitions, Chapter 6, animals, of the municipal code of the town of Silver City, New Mexico.
Thank you. Do I hear a second? Council Kano,
Mayor Ladner, I'll second the motion as stated.
you have a motion and a second. Any discussion or comments? Roll call, please, Mr. Cedillo.
Counselor Khan?
Aye.
Counselor Prince?
Aye.
Counselor Ray?
Aye.
Counselor Bencomo?
Aye.
Motion carries unanimous. I want to thank the code enforcement for constantly looking at ways that will help us to take care of the nuisances that we have in our community. Thank you. Want to thank everybody for being here tonight. This concludes the business of the town of Silver City. Do I hear a motion to adjourn? Councilor Bencomo,
Mayor, I make a motion to adjourn the meeting.
is there a second?
Yes.
Councilor Prince,
Second the motion to adjourn?
all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries unanimously. We're hereby adjourned.